Hey guys, I'm Brandon from Sasquatch Studios. This is Nikki from Sasquatch Studios. And a few months ago, Nikki, my wife, and I released our very first game on Steam, Cropolution. And I'm really excited to be here to get to talk about it in this video. I've been itching to make this video for a little while now. So thank you guys so much for being here. And again, this is my beautiful wife, Nikki, by the way. If you don't know who she is the artist for Cropolution, as well as the editor of many, many of the videos that you see on this YouTube channel. And she's going to be asking the questions for the most part, and she's going to chime in whenever the heck she wants, especially if I say something stupid. So let's do this. Go ahead, babe.
All right. So, for anyone who might not know who you are, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about our game Cropolution?
Yeah, so again, I'm Brandon from Sasquatch Studios. This is our very first game that we have released to Steam. However, I have been on YouTube making all sorts of game dev related content, doing devlogs, doing Unity tutorials, doing just general game dev advice or lessons learned type of videos, all sorts of things all over YouTube. And yeah, Cropolution, it's a cozy but also sometimes a little bit chaotic farming sim where you grow and evolve crops, bugs, and fish to reshape the island that your player has been trapped on. And it gets a little bit chaotic at times because there's a daily swarm that threatens your hard work by eating your crops. So there's a little bit of planning and strategy involved as well. So it's not, it's not a Stardew clone or anything like that. It's not meant to be a Stardew clone. It's very much, it's a fun, kind of chaotic, but also got this cozy vibe to it. Really fun little game.
Awesome. I will add one little thing since I like cozy games and not chaotic games. You can turn off the swarm and play in a more relaxed mode, which is what I prefer to do, but
Yes. I never turn
yeah,
on that mode ever. I'm bored that way, but I did put the option there. So
that's fair. All right. So how does it feel now that you've published your first game on Steam?
so it feels good. I guess I could say. It doesn't feel like what I was expecting the first release to feel like. I kind of thought that by releasing a first game, I would have this feeling of like, oh, I'm a real game developer now. I'm a real published game developer now, or whatever. Like, there's this kind of thing that I thought might hit me that I haven't really doesn't really feel any different. Every day here at home, work feels the same. Everything kind of feels the same, but it is really cool to know that there is a game out there that people can play. It's a game that even though farming sims are not like my favorite genre in the entire world, I really enjoy playing Cropolution. It's a really fun game, and I think I like it because I added a little bit of the chaotic element, which is a little bit more my jam. So it's got that twist in there. But yeah, it feels good. Like I have I'll be honest, it's been an interesting and kind of difficult journey, and I'm sure we'll get into that, and we'll talk about lessons learned and difficulties and all that kind of stuff. But overall, I feel good. I feel proud, and it's really cool to know that there are some people out there that play and enjoy the game, and that's all I've ever wanted from game development. So yeah.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about launch day. What was it like, and were there any problems or surprises?
Yeah, I had launch day built up into this thing in my mind. I've heard stories about like people staying up for 48 to 72 hours, like passing out from exhaustion because they were just working so hard. And that I didn't do 48 hours. I didn't do 72 hours. However, it was an all-nighter. I was here at my computer all night pushing out as much as I possibly could right up until release. And I'm sure we'll talk about this a little bit as well, but I'm now thinking that going forward, if that is the case, especially with new content, that's probably a good sign that it could probably use a little bit more time if you're kind of still putting stuff in at the very last minute. But it was kind of everything that I expected. It was adrenaline. It was weird. It was surreal to like, to actually hit the, to actually publish it, upload it to Steam and hit the publish button, to, send out emails and put out the YouTube, community post out there and put it up on our Discord channel and all that stuff. Seeing the reactions, that was really cool. And then after like a really long week of development, after I hit publish, I'm going to be honest, I don't know what other developers do. I went to bed. I hit publish. I notified everybody. I did all the like markety things that I knew I was supposed to do, and then I went to bed for the entire day. It was a weird day because I thought it would be you and I, really cutely putting both of our fingers on the mouse button together and hitting publish. But you had a shift at the dollar store. Nikki got a part-time job at the dollar store. At the dollar store just to get out of the house for 1 or 2 days a week. So she was working that day. So it was just me in this room. I hit the publish button, and then I took a really, really, really long nap afterwards before looking at any reviews, before looking at any emails for bugs or anything like that. So it was different. It was interesting.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a weird day. I can't believe I didn't book that day off because it was really weird not being here and like anticipating what was going on at home. And yeah, it was pretty stressful the night before too, working so late.
Yeah.
All right, so the game launched in December. So what has the post-launch been like, and does anything feel different now?
Yes. So it feels very different now in terms of, if you're talking about Cropolution specifically, I'm really happy with where it's at right now. And I still have more content planned. I've already got lots of ideas jotted down. There's still lots more stuff that I would like to add to the game. Couple of little bugs, nothing brutally bad. But there are a couple that have proven very difficult to squash. So there's still a few known ones out there, but for the most part, I'm very, very happy with where Cropolution's been at. So post-launch, there's kind of been like, the typical keeping up with the YouTube channel and doing our thing there. Nothing there has really changed. But we've continued to pump out. If you look at the update notes on Cropolution on Steam, you can see this boom, 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 boom. There's a whole bunch of updates that have happened. Lots of little small patches and bug fixes and all that kind of stuff. But lots of lots of new content updates as well. The game is quite different now than it was on the day that it was launched. So yeah, post-launch has been getting the game to a state that I'm more happy with. And again, I'm sure this is something that we're going to get into, but I do definitely have some regrets around launch day and in the state that Cropolution was in, and we'll get there. But yeah, so I care about the experience that people have playing the game, and like I want to be honest, right? Like, I'm human, so it's a little bit ego specific. It's like, oh, I want people to like, be happy with my work and all that stuff. There's a little bit of that, but there's also like, I got into game development from being inspired by, Hollow Knight and Ori and fantastic games like that. Games that like really touched me in a very special way. Like left an impact, left an imprint on me. Like, they were big, and I wanted to be able to create something like that too. And this is our first game, and it was a quick game, so I didn't have crazy momentous expectations or anything like that, but I'm happy with it. It's really, really fun. And so yeah, we'll get into all of the post-launch stuff and all that stuff soon enough, I'm sure, because I am married to you, so I did get to peek at the questions before this interview. So yeah.
Yeah, and I do agree. We will get into a little more detail, but I'm really happy with where it's at now too. So what kind of feedback have you gotten from players since the launch, and has anything stood out to you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is what really been wanting to talk about and that I'm excited to talk about. So the feedback is mostly positive. However, what's obviously stood out to me, because I'm human and because, as a developer, you're looking for the negative comments, what has stood out to me are the handful of negative comments on the Steam page. And the thing of it is negative comments on a Steam game, like, nobody's wrong, right? Every player that plays your game is going to have games are subjective, right? So people like different things. However, the feedback that we got, it was like concrete, legitimate, like there were some problems with the game on launch day that I unfortunately was not aware of, and that is my biggest regret about the launch day behind Cropolution, is that it needed more time to cook. Right, and I think part of the issue of like being on YouTube and releasing tutorials and stuff like that, I kind of let this pressure build up in my mind. And while I should have pushed the launch date back to get things cleaned up, to do more playtesting, I let the pressure get to me a little bit, and I became too rigid. And I was like, nope, this is the launch day. We're going to launch it on that day, come hell or high water, And I've learned that's probably not always the best attitude to have, but it is what it is, right? We launched it. It had some pretty glaring flaws, design-wise. There were some pretty big bugs. I think there were just things I was not aware of. Things that, frustratingly enough, I had tested just the night before that were fine. But of course, this is the problem. When you're up all night adding new content and adding things, is, of course, I ended up breaking a couple of things that were already working. So, some of the negative reviews that came in, they were completely legitimate. I'm also happy to say that, like, I used those. I took copious notes on the negative reviews, which is difficult to do. It sucks reading negative comments, but it's feedback, right? It's really great feedback that you're getting. So you and I sat down, we took copious notes, and that is the first thing that we tackled, right? Is all these things that they addressed in the negative comments. So now I can say that people that bought the game on launch day, it's a totally different game now than it was on launch day. What I hate, and the reason I'm disappointed with myself a little bit for making that decision and launching it earlier than I should have, is you only get one chance at a first impression, right? Somebody out there spent their hard-earned money on Cropolution, and a couple of people had a frustrating time. They ran into some bugs that didn't allow them to play the way that you should be able to play, and that's my fault, and that sucks, right? That's a crappy thing to realize, but I think you and I can both say I'm proud. We've been working really hard post-launch to get all these bugs squashed. And yeah, it's so, and again, feedback has mostly been positive, right? So we took the negative stuff, we fixed it, and yeah, I'm a person that centers around negative stuff, right? Like, we got some really great reviews too, but the negative stuff is what stood out to me, because I want people to have a good experience playing my game.
Absolutely. And I do have a couple things to add. So just to kind of go off of what you've already said, so some of those reviews that we got in the beginning definitely were a result of releasing the game a little bit earlier than we needed to.
Mm-hmm.
Or than we should have, maybe, is a better way of putting it.
Yeah.
But since then, like, we've taken that feedback, which was really valuable feedback. They had really good insights as to what would make the game better, what would make it a better experience for players. And, we took that and we ran with it, and I think it is in a good state at this point. One thing that did stand out for me, though, from that experience, and that I think we both learned, is that we needed a lot more playtesting than we had put in it. We had a few playtesters, and they seemed to like the game, but I don't think we had a big enough number of people, and not enough hours were put into it. So I think going forward, next time, that's something that I'd want to change.
Yep. I would add to that as well. Like, especially if I'm up all night adding new content into the game, that is new content that now needs to be play tested, right? I don't trust my code enough at this point. I'm an intermediate level developer is what I would call myself in terms of a technical experience level. So I'm okay, but I don't trust myself enough to just throw something in there and launch it on Steam without playtesting it at all, right? And even if I was an expert, I still don't think I would trust myself to do that, because everything should be playtested just so that everybody has a really good and optimal experience with it, right?
Yeah. So I know we've already put out a few updates, but are there any more updates planned for Cropolution? And if so, what can players expect in the future?
Yeah, so we recently released version 1.1, which had a whole bunch of new content. It had crafting, it added an NPC, which I love his dialogue. I worked really hard on his dialogue. I threw all my best like dad jokes and just funny things in there. So that was recent, and now actually just last night we did a whole slew of bug fixes and just quality of life updates. But you asked about the future. So yes, for version 1.2, I don't have a timeline on it, but one thing that I would really like to call this like the definitive version of Cropolution in my mind is to add a proper ending to the game, because right now it's kind of like a little collectathon, and you collect the appropriate number of crops and bugs and fish, and you get your gold medals for that, and then the credits just kind of roll. And I can see the cat on your screen there. The credits just roll, and you can keep playing. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. But I think for some people, that's going to be like, wait, what? It's over, right? Like, so I would like to incorporate the fact that you have to escape from the island. There's going to be like a little boat that you have to unlock that will actually sail you away once you have done, and I don't have it in terms of how you unlock it worked out yet. But once you've fulfilled those requirements, you can actually escape the island. So there's like that story element I would like to add. There's also some more end game content that you and I have talked about, because making money at the start of the game, is a bit of a challenge. But then because everything is basically exponential in this game, towards the end, you start making a lot of money, and there's not a whole lot to do with all of the money that you can get in the end game content. So I would like to add some very, very expensive items that people would really want. You and I talked about having a logbook that actually shows like the exact specific times of days that bugs and that fish actually come out, so that people can plan properly. I never wanted to like put that into the item descriptions or whatever. I thought that was a little bit too easy, but purchasing a book that tells you that, I think that's kind of cool. And just, I've had a whole slew. The beautiful thing about a game like Cropolution is there's literally infinite number of things that we could add to it. It's like I could work on this game for years and just keep on adding stuff, right? So there's lots of little items that I would like to add in. I'm not going to spoil anything more than I already have, but yeah, people can expect more for sure.
I'm excited for that. So, kind of a little bit of a different topic. Did you see a wish list to sales conversion rate that matched your expectations?
No. And I mean that in a good way. So like I said, this game, it was the result of a game jam. We made this game in a week, the jam version of it. And we really liked it, so we decided to spend just a couple of months expanding on it and turning it into a full Steam release. So because of that like huge time crunch with development, I dropped the ball with marketing, right? Like I managed to throw a couple of devlogs out, and even that was a big challenge, like because I just was up to my neck in developing this game and getting it out as quickly as I could, which again, could have been pushed back a little bit. However, our sales have actually been higher than the number of wish lists we had when the game launched, which is ridiculous. I've never heard of anything like that, right? and I'll give you an example. I just recently did an interview with Ben Bonk, and that's going to be another video that releases on this channel. He just released his game, and I was asking him about wish lists and conversions and all that stuff, and I won't spoil anything from that video, but the numbers that I heard from him were about what you would expect to see, right? Like, you kind of expect to see a low-ish percentage of your wish lists actually convert to sales. We went into this with, do you remember how many wish lists we had going into this? It was not a lot.
It wasn't. I would say it was less than 300,
Yeah.
but like high 200s. Very low number.
High 200s. Okay, so maybe the wish list, and we've sold, what, over 200 copies at this point?
I haven't checked in a while, but yeah, like we've sold about as many wish lists as we had originally.
Yeah, so it's probably, it's been a couple weeks since we checked, or a week or two since we checked. So it's probably safe to say we're at about 250 sales now, give or take. So basically, the number of wish lists we had turned into sales, which is crazy. And I've never heard of anything like it. So that's, had we done a better job marketing this game beforehand? I kind of wish that I had gotten to see what that would have turned out to be. But yeah, again, we can do it. It was just, this whole thing has just been such a weird journey. I'm very happy with how it's turned out. Like, the amount of time that you and I have sunk into this game, I think we've made a little over $1,000 at this point, and I don't mind putting that out there. But so obviously, in terms of like a salary or in terms of paying the bills, putting in several months of work into a game to make that kind of money, that's not sustainable, right? So you could view it as a failure from a technical financial perspective if you wanted. However, it far surpassed my expectations completely. Like, we built this game because I wanted a game on Steam, and I wanted one on Steam soon, and I pushed hard for that. Like, I don't know. Do you have anything that you want to add in?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot I could say on this. And I agree with you about, we really dropped the ball with marketing. That's something I'd really like to do better next time. We really stuck to that timeline, and I want to have it out in a few months. And then we got sick for a month, and that time is the time that I had planned to put into marketing.
Oh my, yeah.
So I had kind of, we had pneumonia, and we were not very useful in that time. So that time that I had planned on marketing is time that we kind of lost. So I would have liked to see a higher wish list number. I think that our wish list to sales conversion was kind of arbitrary. Like, it didn't really make any sense.
No.
Unless you consider the fact that there was very little marketing done. And in fact, our wish lists now are a fair bit higher than we were when we went in. So I'm not really sure what happened to cause that, but one thing I'd like to talk about is we went in with really, really low expectations.
Right.
This game was, like you said, it was something we wanted to do quickly. We wanted to have like a learning experience, see what it's like to put something out on Steam. So we set the bar really low. Our initial goal was to make back the Steam fee,
right?
Which is like, I think it's $100 US. I'm not actually sure because we're in Canada. But so we reached that goal, and then we set another goal. I think there's some figure about how games in the first year make about $500 or half of them or something like that. So our next goal was $500, and we reached that. We set the goal to $1,000, and we reached that. And we haven't set another goal. I think we've I think it's done for us what we wanted it to do, and now what we're trying to do now is just really deliver more. We've reduced the price to give more value, and it's just like trying to improve people's experience at this point.
Yeah, we added more content and we lowered the price. So I still want to add more content. Again, this project for me was getting a game on Steam, but any game I ever put out there ever, I want people to have a really good time with it. And, whether it makes financial sense or not, I would like to sink some time into it, even if it doesn't financially pay back, just because I care. I care about the game. I care about how it reflects on us as developers. And I care about the experience that people have when they're playing it. So yeah, we've made a lot of adjustments. We've done lots of updates. We changed the price. It was on sale for a while. It's going to go on sale again. I forget when you scheduled it, but again, it might not make sense from a financial perspective to keep sinking time into this game. It's like, oh, you should just move on from like a you got to pay your bills perspective. But we have the YouTube channel, which has kind of been floating us, which I'm very, very grateful for. And I want people to have a good experience with the game. Negative reviews, even though, and there was only 2 or 3 of them, but even though they were deserved at the time because they were absolutely correct, I hate knowing that there's someone out there that like had a bad time playing something that I made, right? That hurts. It makes me angry at myself. So I want to keep putting a little bit more work into this game. Just make sure that it's exactly what I wanted it to be when I first saw it in my mind. And it's very, very close. It just needs a little bit more still.
I think we kind of touched on this a little bit in this last answer. So, but for other devs looking to put out their first game, how did you decide on your price point?
You and I, we kind of just talked and decided on a price point that's fair. I have a fairly extensive Steam library. I know, generally speaking, what games are priced at, and we kind of thought, how many hours can people play for this game? What do we think is fair? And we picked a price. There was very little. I'll just be honest. Very little research was done. We kind of just picked a figure that we felt was fair for the amount of work that went into it and for the product that people were getting. And based on some of the feedback, we wanted to make sure that people felt like they were getting even better value. So then we lowered the price a little bit after our version 1.1 update as well.
So what was your biggest hurdle during the development and how did you overcome it?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think from a technical perspective, like an actual programming and design perspective, the hardest thing for me with this game was the saving and loading, which is funny, but this is literally the very first game I've ever created where I implemented a full-on saving and loading system. I've played around with player prefs. If anybody uses Unity, you probably know what I'm talking about. But I've experimented with some like low-level systems before, but this was like the first full-on, like, there were some real head-scratching moments for me where I was like, oh my god, I have to keep track of every tile and whether it's dug and whether it's watered and what's the water timer at for each tile and all these different things. And I had no idea how to handle it at first. I did some Googling. I did some Googling. I did some consulting with my good buddy ChatGPT. I experimented. I tried a couple of things, and just eventually I ended up learning actually a heck of a lot from this project. Like, my programming skills have probably doubled in the last 6 months just from working on this project because of the amount of new techniques and new things that I learned. I don't know. I've been doing this long enough now that I've kind of just learned that every time I get stuck, I always figure it out. And that's not like that's not meant to be a brag. It's just one of those things. Like, usually you come across a wall, you're going to figure it out. It's just, your game has to be saved and loaded. Many, many people out there have done the exact same thing before. So it's out there on the internet. If you don't know how to do it yourself, then you can go find it and figure out how to tweak it to make it work for your game. And that's all I did. The saving and loading was my biggest technical thing where I was really like, I don't know how to do this. This is going to be so much work. Yeah.
Okay. For me, from an art perspective, I think the biggest hurdle was I would draw everything. It was the line art. Choosing to do a style that has line art. it would all be really consistent. I had the right consistency on Photoshop. And then when you would go transfer it into Unity, you would start tweaking the sizes of all of my stuff, and then the line consistency was all messed up. So I had to deal with the fact that we had all these funny little differences in each of the art pieces, and so I kind of had to redraw everything multiple times to make sure that it was kind of cohesive throughout the game.
Yeah.
And honestly, we're still updating things where we notice that my line art doesn't match the right thickness, and it's one of those annoying little things that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, it's kind of a subtle difference, and yet I think it makes the game look a lot more cohesive. And it's, I'm very sorry. It's like, yeah, you give me a piece of art and I drag it into Unity and I'm like, oh, I'm going to scale it down to like 0.3. Well, of course, that's going to scale the line thickness down as well. And you start picking different values for everything, and all of a sudden you end up with kind of this weird incohesive look to it. And it's just something I didn't really think about too much when you gave me the art. So that's just another thing to keep in the back of my mind, another lesson learned. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So was there anything you wanted to have in the game that was either cut out or didn't make it into the final release?
Yeah, there's still things that I want in the game that haven't made it into the final release, and I already talked about a couple of them. I would still like to put Steam achievements into the game. I'd love to give you like a specific answer to this question, but I don't remember like any one thing. What I do remember is I had all sorts of notes and stickies and all sorts of things on my desk that I was working through and crossing off my list up till the very night before. And I kind of had like what's critical, what needs to be done right now. And then I had another list where it's like, okay, what would be nice to have? And a lot of the stuff that was on my nice to have, but it's not critical for launch. A lot of that stuff, I don't really remember what a lot of it was. I'm sure a lot of it was some of the stuff we've already talked about. But it was a lot of that stuff that didn't make it into the final release. Nothing got cut from the game. There was just the development cycle on this game it was such a flash. It was so quick that nothing really got cut. There was maybe a handful of art things that you did that we ended up tweaking or changing a bit. But I think we knew what this game was going to be right from the start, and we kind of just implemented one thing after the other. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think there is some stuff, like when you think about the original release that we wanted in, that has made it in since then, but wasn't in the original game. Like, we've added the bug jars, which made it a lot easier to unlock some of the things in the museum.
Right, yeah.
And we've had some things since then that we planned to put in updates. Like, we were going to do a whole other area at one point. It just ended up being too much to get done in that short period of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's going to be lots more to come, I think. Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. It's again, it's one of those games where it's so easy to add more content to. Everything's kind of like just a system in there now, so it's really kind of easy to go in there and add new things and expand things. And yeah, I've had infinite number of ideas for what to do with this game, while also keeping in mind that yes, we do have to pay the bills, unfortunately. So there's got to be an end point at some point as well. I don't after version 1.2 comes out, I don't want to say anything definitive. I don't know what the future will be. I might become inspired and want to keep on adding things. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that.
So was there a specific moment post-launch that made you feel like we did it?
Oh, like we did it. I mean, not really for me personally. I don't know about you. It's kind of, and the only way that I can relate to it is thinking about YouTube as well. It's kind of like, I remember I interviewed Aya. If any of you know who Aya is, he's a great YouTuber. with really, really awesome content. I did an interview with him quite a while ago now. It was like 2 years ago or something crazy like that. And at the time, he had around 40 or 50,000 subscribers, and we were way behind that. And I remember asking him, like, what is it like? What is it like to have 40 or 50,000 subscribers? And he was like, oh, it's kind of the same as having 5,000 subscribers, except it's just another zero. Like, it's kind of, it doesn't really feel any different. I feel that way about releasing a game on Steam too. I was expecting this, like, oh my god, I'm finally a real game developer. That hasn't come. It hasn't landed. I want to. I don't know. I don't know if it'll ever come. Maybe it won't. Maybe it'll come after my second or my third or my 10th game. I have no freaking clue. I only know that right now it hasn't really hit. It's kind of cool. It's like I still have these moments where I'm like, oh my god, I have a game on Steam. Like it's there. People can buy it. People can review it. People can whatever. But no, call it imposter syndrome or whatever. It's just like, no, I still don't really feel like I did it, even though we did. It's just one of those weird things that I think maybe we have to do it longer. I don't know.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't think there's a moment where I felt like, oh, we did it. We're like, we're real game developers. However, I kind of had a little bit of, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, I felt like we did something that I'm proud of when we put out our latest update. And I think that was just last night.
Yep.
But I was playing the game. I've been playtesting a lot. I've probably sunk like 100 hours into Cropolution
You
at
play
this
it
point.
all the time.
I do. And last night, I don't know how many hours I put in yesterday. Probably 3 or 4. But I was playing like for fun while you were working. And I was just kind of like dinking around, fishing and catching bugs, and I was like, this is a game that I enjoy. I would play this, I would buy this, and so yeah, I think that's as close to that moment that I've had to this point, is where I kind of realized, like, I would have bought this if someone had put it on there. But this is my type of game too. So
I would buy this game too. I do play Stardew Valley. I do enjoy these types of games. Just a little bit of the stress and chaos is often a little bit more my jam. Hollow Knight, that kind of stuff. Dying Light 2 that I'm playing with Evan. But I love all video games, right? I can get inspired by just about every genre. Yeah, that is a really good way of putting it, actually, what you just said. It's not that I didn't feel proud before our latest update, but it's just like I've been working so hard on all these bug fixes, knowing with this kind of like low level, always there level of anxiety. Like, I have a game on Steam, and I have this long list of bugs, and like my list of bugs that I fixed is this long, and every time I want to update it on Steam, I end up finding something else. So I'm like, I'll just fix this one more, and then I find another one, and then like a week or two ends up going by. It's I don't know. And I'm changing my answer, by the way, because like it's not like I haven't had a moment where it was like, oh, I did it, but it's been like I have these tiny little moments while I'm working on the game, while I'm fixing bugs, especially while I'm uploading an update to Steam, where I'm like, this is like I'm actually doing the thing. Like I set out to become a game developer, to be at home doing YouTube videos and making video games and squashing bugs and coming up with you and I talking over all our free time. All we ever talk about is game development. I don't know what we used to talk about, but like we're doing the thing. So it's more like in those day-to-day moments where like I'm at my computer and my Unity's open. Unity's open on this screen. My code's open on this screen over here, and I'm just like doing this stuff, and it's like, wow, like this is what it's like being a game developer. I guess like I think this is what all their days are like. I only know my own experience, but yeah, it's kind of I hit the mic. It's kind of surreal, and it's It's just really cool. So no definitive I did it moment, just little tiny moments throughout random days while I'm doing mundane things, honestly.
So this game came about from a game jam, like we said, and it came together in about 4 months.
Mhm.
So is that something you'd want to do again, or would you do things a little differently?
Um, no. So okay. I I don't seem to work very well with timelines. I am more of a I get ideas for something and I just want to build it into something that's really awesome. And as much as I am very proud of Cropolution and I'm very happy with it, the post launch has been very stressful. It has taken a toll on me. There have been days where I have wanted to increase my anxiety medication. I haven't had to, but it's been uh it's been kind of a lot, especially realizing like, oh my god, like this game could have used more time to cook. I can't believe, especially reading some of those negative reviews, like I can't believe how many problems there were when this game launched that I was unaware of. Things that I was certain I had already tested and checked off, and now they're broken again, and it's on Steam. Oh my god, like, and creating a timeline and sticking to it very rigidly, which is what I did, and going against my own advice, by the way. It's like it's very easy to throw advice out there, very difficult to follow it yourself sometimes. So I think this is one of those lessons I had to learn the hard way a little bit is, yeah, you can't, a negative review on your Steam page, you can't delete it. There, you can't remove it. Like that's there forever. And that will sway some people away from buying the game when maybe they wanted to before, which kind of sucks. So if your game needs more polish, if it needs a little bit more time to cook, if it needs more time to playtest, if you need more time to market it, I would say it's really well worth it probably to take that time, because sticking to the rigid timeline just so that you can hit that publish button, it did nothing to ease my level of pressure that I was feeling as a game dev YouTuber that had not published a game yet. It did nothing to ease my level of stress. All it did was really add to it and make it worse. Um, and I don't have any regrets because of the lessons that I've learned from doing this. I know that there are mistakes that I will never make ever again. So I won't say that I regret anything, but no, I would not say, oh, let's make another game in 4 months and get it done. I don't work well that way. So I would rather come up with an idea for a game that I love and just work on it and try to get it out in a reasonable time frame, not let scope creep get out of hand, like all the basic things. But if I get to that point, even if I've like looked in the camera and been on YouTube and said like my game's going to release on this day, and even if I have to take that back and push the date back, it's worth it. It's worth it to make sure that people get a good first impression, to make sure that you can feel as proud as you want to feel on launch day. I wanted to feel proud on launch day. Those negative reviews did not make me feel proud. They made me feel stupid and embarrassed, and not that it's just it's something you can't take back. So yeah, that's what I took away from it. Really, is no, don't plan a definitive deadline like that. Just do the best that you can. If you make a deadline and you don't make it, who cares? Players are patient. Look at people that have been waiting for Silksong for God knows how long. And I know they just announced that it's going to be out in 2025 at the Nintendo Direct for the Switch 2. So we'll see if that happens. Even if it doesn't, the players will survive. They will buy the game when it comes out, and they will love it, I'm sure. So it's worth it, I think, to make sure that you feel good on launch day.
Yeah, I agree with absolutely everything you just said. The one thing I would add though is although it didn't go perfectly or smoothly, I think that it accomplished what we wanted it to. It gave us that learning experience to learn what not to do
Yeah.
and what doesn't work and what does work. And yeah, I think that we should have let it cook a little bit longer, and maybe having a goal for a timeline would have been smarter than, this is the day it's going to release.
Yeah.
And,
Especially because,
accordingly.
sorry to cut you off, especially because we got friggin' sick for a month. And like, that pneumonia hit hard. Like, we've had COVID, and COVID didn't hit me nearly as hard as that pneumonia hit me. So like, Nikki, I think you took a picture of me at my computer with like a blanket around me when I had a fever, still working, but I could only manage to get like 2 hours, 3 hours a day in before I needed like a 5-hour nap. Like, you can't always control everything in life. So especially if something like that happens, dear God, give yourself a break and move the timeline back. It's not your fault that you got sick. Just delay it a little bit. Again, following, and yeah, we surpassed our financial goals. I achieved my personal goal of having a game on Steam that I'm proud of. I'm super happy about that. But this is, making any decision from a place of trying to relieve pressure or stress was the biggest thing that I regret, right? That's my big takeaway from this is there's going to be pressure, there's going to be stress. That's a part of game development. And that's why I wanted to put this video out there. Because as much as I am proud, we made some mistakes and we learned from it, and hopefully this helps some of you guys out as well. Yeah,
absolutely. But I want to give us the time next time and get some marketing done, because that was just
it was a lot. It was a lot.
It was a lot.
It was too short a window to make a game and market for it properly.
All right, so I know the answer to this, but for everyone else out here, what's next for you? New game, updates, a break, or something totally different?
Not a break, as much as I would like one. So, YouTube is we're gonna continue churning out the YouTube stuff as usual. There is another game looming on the horizon. And I already signed up for Next Fest for this June. So that the demo is going to be out in June. It's going to be on Next Fest. So I've been working really hard on that as well, in tandem with doing updates for Cropolution. So what the next couple of months is going to look like, that I can say definitively. Last night we just put out a huge bug fix update for Cropolution. I'm going to now hit pause on Cropolution until Next Fest with our next game, which is called Surgebound. And by the way, I will be doing like some content on that very, very soon, so stay tuned for that. However, if you want a proper introduction to that game, if you're familiar with the YouTuber Blackthorn Prod, you can go check out his channel, and we'll put a link to that video down in the description of this video as well. But if you want an intro to Surgebound, I was a part of a competition on his channel where it's like 6 developers compete to make the best game for $3,000. It was 3, right? Yeah, 3,000. So that's where that game was born from. That happened after Cropolution released as well. And really fell in love with Surgebound. So that is what's coming next, is the demo for that. After Next Fest, I can't say definitively what's going to happen. I don't really want to make any concrete plans, but I do also have the version 1.2 of Cropolution that I would like to drop as well. So there's a very good chance that after Next Fest, I'll go back to Cropolution for another few weeks to a month to get that put out there, and then take it from there. I'm not going to make any definitive plans beyond a couple of months from now.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right. So if you could go back to when you started working on Cropolution and give yourself a message from the future, what would you say?
Oh, man. I think I already said it, so I'll say it again because it's a point that I want to hammer home in, like, in my own brain. Working, um, I notice it like physically in my body. Like, when I'm coming up with new ideas for a game, when I'm in that creative zone, I'm in a really high energy, really good place. Like, I my posture's better. Like, everything, I can feel it in my body. And when I'm focused on the stress, when I'm focused on, um, I feel a lot of pressure from the YouTube channel, and because I do tutorials and all these different things, like, people have some huge expectation of me or whatever, which is probably not true, but you end up coming up with these weird ideas in your mind. So when I'm focusing on the stress and focusing on the pressure, it's really like, it, like, you can see it in my body posture. I can feel it. So coming working development from a place of focusing on the stress, focusing on the pressure, is when I'm at my absolute worst. And I think a few decisions I made during the development of Cropolution came from that place, like, being rigid with the deadline. Like, no, absolutely, like, I am not pushing it back. Like, we said it was going to be released at this time, and I want it to be released at this time. Coming from that place was like, I was maybe afraid of YouTube comments, or God knows what. Like, focusing on the stress, focusing on the pressure, you make bad decisions, and it's not a good headspace for design and for creativity. So if I could give myself a message from the future, I would say, okay, Brandon, you're going to feel pressure. You're going to feel stress. There's literally nothing you can do about that. So try to brush it aside, or do whatever it is you do. Put in your headphones, open friggin' Unity, and just get into your creative zone and do what you do. Do it as best as you can, as fast as you can, sure, but don't make any decisions from a place of pressure or from a place of stress. Like, if you need more time, like, we already talked about this, right? If you need more time, push it back. It's okay. AAA studios do it all the time. AA games do it all the time. Indie games do it all the time. Like, this is not, nobody cares, right? Like, it's, nobody really cares. This is the thing. Remember that nobody actually cares. Like, people watch me on YouTube. That's amazing. That's cool. Nobody's gonna, like, hate me, or even if people do, even if some people do, the majority of people are not going to. Like, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter what other people think. What matters is that I'm creating from my best possible creative space, so that I'm creating the best possible game that I can possibly make. So yeah, TLDR, my whole summarized version of that would be, if you're going to make big decisions about your game, make sure that you're in, like, that good creative zone where you're focused on the creation of your game, and you're not making a decision to, like, please people, or to try to relieve yourself of some of that pressure, because it backfires a little bit. Yeah.
And I think for me, if I could go back and give myself a message, it would be a little different, but along the same lines. And just, like, be more flexible. Life happens, plans change, and it's okay to change them. I think that things would have gone a lot smoother if we kind of let go of the rigidity a little bit and just kind of let things happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, you live and you learn. So it's.
Yeah, that's why we put our journey up on YouTube, right? It's like, I know, I see the views. I know that people watch this stuff, and hopefully, some of you guys will watch this and, be able to learn from my mistakes, from our mistakes, so that you don't have to make the same ones, because they kind of
do that.
Yeah, don't do that. It sucks, but that's okay. Like, Cropolution's a great game. I can hold my head up high. I'm very proud. But yeah, some of the decisions made along the way, I would make different ones now. that's really it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to wrap up here. Is there anything else you want to share with fellow devs or anyone watching us on YouTube now that Cropolution's out in the world?
Yeah, like, I feel like I'm just rehashing the same answers, but like, find that creative zone, follow the fun, especially fellow developers if you're watching, like, finding that creative space where you're drowning out the noise, you're drowning out the pressure, you're drowning out the stress. All of that is over here because you're in your little creative bubble. You're making your game, you're tweaking this, you're doing that. Yeah, it's a product. It needs to be marketed. It's a product that gets sold, so it has to be treated like that. However, it's also art. That's the thing that's so hard to forget when you're right in the middle of it, especially before launch. I'm shocked at how easy it was to forget this is art. This is not like, I need to be thinking like an artist and not like a business person. Because I think thinking like an artist is going to produce better quality products, right? If I was a business person, then I think we would have written this game off after it was released and moved on to the next best thing, right? Because if we were run by like investors or a board or whatever, they'd be like, okay, yeah, we didn't get our money's worth, so we want you to just like stop putting all this time into this game and move on to the next thing. I wanted to think more like an artist and be like, I don't care about any of that. I want people to have a good time playing this game. I want to add in things that I think are funny or silly or interesting or charming or whatever. And add options into the settings so that people can play it however they want. If you want a little bit of chaos, then don't change the settings. And if you want a cozy experience, then go ahead and change the settings. But yeah, that's yeah, just get into that creative space and try to stay there as much as you can. There's going to be pressure. There's going to be stress. There's nothing you can do about it, whether you're on YouTube or not. Just do whatever you can to drown that out. And I think usually as game developers, our best way to do that is to just keep on creating things, be in that space as often as you can. Do it because you love your game, not because you've got your end goal, your sights set on how much money you want to make or anything like that. That's what I would take away from this whole experience anyways.
I think you said that perfectly. I don't have a whole lot to add except that Cropolution is a really fun little game. Hope you try it out. And just thank you to everyone that watches us and supports us and follows us. It's been a really good journey. I really appreciate all the feedback and the love. Yeah.
By the way, guys, being on camera is a little bit... Nikki's very shy. She can be a little bit camera shy. So by the way, thank you, my dear, for I don't know why I looked at the camera when I said that. Thank you for being here, for doing this interview. And guys, if you enjoyed Nikki being in the video, let us know down in the comments. Give her a little bit of love because she's a little bit camera shy. And yeah. Anyways, and like I said, we did recently, I did an interview with Ben Bonk. He recently released Slime Keep. So if you like this kind of interview style content, be on the lookout for that, because that will hit the YouTube channel and the podcast in the coming weeks as well.
All right.
Okay, we're signing off here. All right, I kind of thought you were going to say something. Okay, insert outro here. Yeah, so, all right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you. Like, honestly, I've been really itching to make this video. I'm so glad that you guys are here to tune in, to listen to it. It's been a super interesting journey, this whole Cropolution thing. It kind of came out of the blue, and I'm glad it did. It's a great little game that's out there in the world right now, which is really, really cool. And yeah, see you guys soon, next week, I guess. Bye.